find and kill the people who murdered my wife.
I don't think you could beat a 90-year-old nun in an arm wrestling match.
All right, I'll teach you.
Oh, come
on, take it.
What is it? What are you...
Take it.
Aye.
Now.
Point it at my chest.
Point it at my chest. Do it now.
All right.
Put your finger on the trigger.
Come on, Charlie. Paralyzing, isn't it?
When the time comes, I'll pull the trigger.
When the time comes, you won't even remember which end of the gun the bullet comes out.
Who are you?
You held the gun to my wife's head.
You have the wrong guy.
Yeah, I know. You didn't pull the trigger. Tell me where to find him. This is a remote that controls a device that's been decompressing the air between the sheets of glass beneath you. If I trigger it, the glass will shatter. So tell me where he is, or swim very fast.
You have the wrong person.
No, I have exactly the right person.
The story kicks off with Charlie, a brilliant CIA analyst, out in his garage fixing up the small airplane his wife Sarah had lovingly given him for his birthday. Just then, Sarah walks in and tells him she needs to leave soon for London for an important business conference. She warmly invites Charlie to come with her, but buried in work, he politely turns her down, saying he's got far too much going on.
Next time, I promise. Don't need reminding.
A little later, Charlie shows up at CIA headquarters. On his way in, he passes through the advanced security scanners he personally designed, then heads to his department to get back to work. Moments later, he gets a message from a mysterious figure known as Inquiline, someone he's secretly been in contact with for years. As always, the stranger offers to sell him highly classified information, but this time, he also warns that the documents could trigger a massive crisis for the CIA.
Be careful with this data. It's highly compromising for your agency.
How's the weather in Istanbul?
Nice try.
It's just a matter of time.
You think? It's been 5 years, Charlie, and you're still guessing.
Right after, Charlie starts decrypting the files. Surprisingly, even his exceptional intelligence isn't enough to crack it right away. After lunch, he heads back to his desk and keeps working. During that time, Sarah calls to let him know she's landed safely in London. Charlie already knows this, though, since he's been tracking her location the whole time. Their call doesn't last long, since Charlie's mind is completely on the mysterious files. When every attempt to break the code fails, he takes his computer into a highly restricted section with an advanced classified system. After hours of relentless work, the files finally open, and what he discovers leaves him completely stunned. The top-secret documents reveal that a deadly drone strike had been deliberately disguised as a suicide bombing. News footage reports that 150 people were killed in the attack, including members of the French Special Forces and Danish Marines. The most shocking part is that the whole operation was authorized by Chief Moore, Charlie's own boss. That night, back home, Charlie calls Sarah, but she doesn't pick up. With no other option, he leaves her a heartfelt voicemail. The next morning, the moment he gets to the office, Charlie finds Moore waiting for him. Moore immediately walks him to the office of the new director, O'Brien. There, O'Brien tells him a terrorist attack has hit a hotel in London, and that Sarah was one of the victims.
Charlie,
No.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Heller.
What?
your wife has been killed.
No, she's at a conference. We should call her.
Charlie, I'm
Can
very
we call
sorry
her?
to give you...
Charlie refuses to believe it. He desperately tries calling Sarah, but Moore turns on the TV and shows him the live news coverage. The reporter explains that 4 terrorists stormed the hotel, took 4 people hostage, and brutally killed 2 of them. Moore then plays the hotel's security footage, and the horrifying chaos of the attack is right there on screen. The footage also confirms Sarah was among those killed. By the time Charlie gets home, he's completely devastated. Dozens of reporters are camped outside his house trying to get an interview, while the police struggle to hold them back. Just then, one of his friends steps in to help, quietly getting Charlie safely inside without making him face the media crowd. The very next day, Charlie goes straight to Moore and Moore's supervisor, Caleb. He has serious doubts about the whole incident. In his view, a city like London, blanketed with thousands of security cameras, should never let terrorists just vanish that easily. On top of that, they got away through heavy traffic, and somehow, nobody caught them. Moore assures him the investigation is still ongoing, but Caleb tells him to go home and rest before sending him off. The next day, Charlie goes to the airport, where Sarah's body and belongings have been brought back. Once he's home, he opens Sarah's suitcase and finds a special gift she'd secretly bought for him. The sight completely breaks him. The memories of Sarah hit him so hard he can't hold back his tears anymore. Sitting alone in the house becomes unbearable, so he decides to head back to the office. There, he secretly uses a restricted computer system to hack into the hotel's surveillance network, along with the nearby street cameras. After hours of relentless work, he pieces together the full timeline of the attack and brings it to his senior officials. The investigation shows the 4 terrorists had stolen a vehicle from the eastern side of the city. They entered the hotel through the service entrance and pulled off the operation so cleanly, they left behind no fingerprints or DNA at all. They were supposed to meet with representatives from an Indonesian company called Impact Investments, but for some reason, the meeting turned into a heated argument. Things got even worse when one of the company's security guards lost his temper. In response, one of the terrorists opened fire, killing one guard on the spot and badly wounding another. The moment the shots rang out, the hotel's security team went on high alert and called the police right away. Now, the terrorists needed a way out of the hotel without getting caught, so they forced their way into a conference room and took everyone inside hostage. Sarah ended up among the hostages because she'd been trying to help several employees escape safely. That one act of bravery made her a target for the terrorists.
Get down! Oh, no! Run!
They only took Sarah because she tried to save someone else.
Using his advanced tech, Charlie fires up a sophisticated voice and facial recognition system. After digging through the data, he successfully identifies all 4 terrorists: Mishka from Moscow, Lawrence, a former South African Special Forces operative, a mercenary named Ho, and former intelligence officer Gretchen.
Sarah's killer is harder to track. He seems to sense the cameras. He says nothing. But I processed all the CCTV, cell phones, dash cams, body cams, and the audio to give us a 360. And that provides us with an ID. This is Horst Schiller, loose affiliations with dozens of mercs and defense groups.
But the real shock comes when Charlie brings this to Moore and Caleb, and neither of them looks the least bit surprised. Right then, Charlie realizes they already knew all of it.
You knew this?
They calmly tell him the case has already been under investigation for a while, then send him off, suggesting he go see a therapist instead. The next day, Charlie secretly hides a tiny chip inside his ID badge, and somehow the security scanners don't pick it up. Once he's at the office, he prints out several classified documents and rigs a skimmer device onto the printer, letting him make digital copies of every file. That night, Charlie sits in a bar, staring silently at the old jukebox for a long while, like some bigger plan is already forming in his head. The next morning, he confronts his superiors again. This time, he shows up with printouts of the classified files in hand. He lays out several of Moore's secret, deeply controversial operations, including an attack on a hospital in Syria and another strike on an allied military base in Yemen. Those missions had cost thousands of innocent lives.
The convoy? You targeted our allies. I count more than 1,000 casualties and over 400 civilian fatalities.
It's only out of respect for your recent loss that I'm not throwing you out of this office.
Charlie makes it clear that if his demands aren't met, he'll personally hand the whole truth over to the CIA director. He also reveals he's set up a dead man switch, meaning if he doesn't enter a specific code every 5 hours, all the evidence gets automatically sent out to major news networks worldwide. In exchange for keeping quiet, Charlie lays out his demands: full CIA field training, forged passports, cash, a weapon, and most importantly, every scrap of information that could lead him to Sarah's killers. After the meeting, Charlie gets in his car, and the weight of it all finally catches up with him. Back at the office, Moore thinks Charlie's just bluffing, but Caleb isn't willing to take that chance. He says that even if it is a bluff, they'll eventually track down the dead man's switch, and once they've got everything under control, Charlie could easily meet with a fatal accident during his training. Sometime later, Caleb and his team start looking into how Charlie managed to copy the classified files.
My bet is he's bluffing.
Man has an IQ of 170. Let's not assume.
As they dig in, they get suspicious of the skimmer device. It could never work directly on the secure computer system, but using it on the printer would have been entirely doable. They conclude Charlie sent the files to the printer, then copied the data off using a magnetic stripe. After going through the security footage, they find that Charlie really had bought a magnetic stripe from a store. Still, one mystery remains. How did he get it in and out of the building without being caught? The team also searches Charlie's house. There, they find out he'd recently visited a certain bar twice. They head straight there, and while checking the place out, they find an ABBA CD tucked under the jukebox. When Caleb pops it into the jukebox, all it plays is a burst of strange static. That's enough to convince them Charlie hid something important on that disc, so they take it in for further testing. Meanwhile, Charlie arrives at a secret CIA training facility, where Colonel Henderson greets him. Their first stop is the shooting range, and a major weakness shows up right away. Charlie turns out to be a terrible shot. To actually hit the target, he has to stand way closer than anyone else needs to. But when it comes to building explosives, Charlie finally shows off his real talent. He puts together a powerful device with incredible speed and precision, leaving even Henderson impressed.
I'll be damned. Looks like we finally found something you do well, Heller.
After that, Charlie's told to memorize his new cover identity. Henderson deliberately shoves him around and keeps him under intense pressure, testing whether he can still recall every detail of his cover story without slipping up once. Finally, Charlie gets his new forged passports. Bit by bit, he's no longer just an ordinary analyst. He's turning into an agent, gearing up for an extremely dangerous mission. That night, Colonel Henderson comes to Charlie's room and tries to convince him he isn't a killer. But Charlie insists he's not after revenge. He just wants justice for Sarah. Henderson pulls out his pistol, puts it in Charlie's hand, and tells him that if he really believes he can kill someone, he should aim it straight at his chest. Charlie grips the gun, but his hands start shaking uncontrollably. In the end, he can't bring himself to pull the trigger, and slowly lowers the weapon. It's clear in that moment that taking a life just isn't something he can easily do.
You have to either be very confident or very stupid, which is its own kind of confidence. Truth is, you don't have that kind of confidence, and you are not stupid, not in the slightest. You're just not a killer, Charlie.
Meanwhile, back at CIA headquarters, agents spend hours trying to decode whatever's hidden inside the CD.
What if she can't break Heller's encryption? She will.
Eventually, they figure out that Charlie's so-called dead man switch was nothing but a bluff.
What's a bluff?
He was playing us.
And he did pretty well, too.
The moment they realize this, they report it straight to their superiors, with no idea Charlie is listening to every word. The tiny chip Charlie had hidden in his ID badge was never a data device at all. It was actually a covert listening bug. He'd secretly planted it inside the very files he'd handed over to his superiors. Moore immediately calls Henderson and tells him to arrest Charlie right away. But by then, it's already too late. Charlie has vanished from the facility. After hanging up, Moore finally spots the hidden bug attached to the files. He calls Charlie directly and warns him that everything he's done will count as treason.
Mr. Heller.
Bugging a CIA officer is treason.
But Charlie has no plans to turn back now. He tosses his earpiece and boards a plane. After landing in London, he clears customs and heads straight on toward Paris. The moment his forged passport pops up in the CIA system, Moore sends Henderson after him. Meanwhile, once Charlie reaches Paris, he checks into a hotel near the restaurant Gretchen is known to frequent. Sometime later, Gretchen shows up, and Charlie quietly gets close enough to start tracking her phone. He then spends the whole day watching her apartment from outside, patiently waiting for his shot. The moment Gretchen leaves, one of the building's residents happens to walk out. Charlie seizes the moment and slips inside unnoticed. After watching an online tutorial, he manages to pick the lock on Gretchen's apartment. Once he's in, he carefully searches the whole place. He finds out plenty about Gretchen's daily routine, along with several other useful details, snapping photos of everything he comes across. Inside one of the drawers, he also finds a pistol and quietly pockets it. But just then, his tracker warns him Gretchen's on her way back. Charlie quickly hides in the stairwell and waits for her to arrive. It's the perfect opportunity. The moment Gretchen reaches her door, Charlie has his chance to kill her. But when it comes down to it, he just can't pull the trigger. His finger locks up, and his conscience won't let him go through with it. Disappointed in himself, he flees and heads back to his hotel. Back in his room, he pictures Sarah still there waiting for him. Once he's calmed down, he carefully goes through the photos he took inside Gretchen's apartment. That's when he notices she frequently visits a hospital. Charlie hacks straight into her medical records and uncovers a hugely important secret. Gretchen has a severe allergy. For the first time, Charlie realizes he might be able to take down his enemies without ever firing a single shot. The next morning, Charlie buys a big bunch of flowers. Then he sits quietly in a nearby cafe and waits. The moment he spots Gretchen, he silently follows her all the way to the hospital. Inside, Gretchen is going through a series of medical tests. Suddenly, the doctor notices the machine's computer glitching and steps out to get help. Charlie seizes the chance, disguises himself as a doctor, walks into the room, and locks Gretchen inside the medical scanner. Gretchen panics and starts screaming for help, but Charlie tunes out her cries. He starts pumping the machine full of pollen. The doctor and nurses outside hear the commotion too, but with the door locked from the inside, they can't get in. Within moments, Gretchen's severe allergy kicks in. Her breathing gets heavier and her body starts giving out. Charlie tells her that if she gives up Ho's location, the man who shot Sarah, he'll save her life. But by now, the allergic reaction is so severe that Gretchen can barely speak. Charlie finally unlocks the machine. The second she gets a chance, Gretchen turns and attacks him, slamming him into a nearby table. A brutal hand-to-hand fight breaks out between them. They crash through furniture all over the room, each trying to overpower the other. Charlie draws his pistol, but Gretchen gets the better of him again and bolts out the door to escape. Charlie chases her all the way out to the street. He's just about to fire when a speeding car slams into Gretchen. She dies instantly, right in front of him. The sight leaves Charlie completely shaken. Still, he pulls himself together, walks over to her body and takes her phone. He hurries away from the scene, tossing his doctor's lab coat into a trash bin along the way. Back at the hotel, he washes the blood off and quickly packs his things. That same night, he heads to the bus station and buys a ticket to Marseille. Sometime later, word of Gretchen's death reaches the CIA. Director O'Brien questions Moore about it. Moore just says it looks like Gretchen was taken out by one of their own. Meanwhile, Charlie is drowning in guilt. That night, he walks into a bar and drinks heavily, trying to numb the pain. In his drunken haze, he pictures Sarah dancing on the floor, but when he looks closer, it's just a woman who resembles her. Right then, he spots Henderson walking toward him. Charlie instantly panics. Shoving his way through the crowd, he bolts out of the bar and sprints through the streets. After running quite a distance, he ducks into another bar, but Henderson tracks him down there too. Seeing him coming, Charlie quickly locks himself in the bathroom. Once inside, he realizes there's no window and no way out. With no other option, he steps back out and sits down next to Henderson. As they talk, Charlie learns Henderson tracked Gretchen's phone to find him. A moment later, Charlie shows Henderson a countdown timer running on his own phone. A second later, the bomb hidden inside the bathroom goes off with tremendous force. The blast throws the whole bar into chaos. Using the confusion to his advantage, Charlie slips away again. The next morning, Charlie reaches out to Inquilin for help. After that, he boards a cargo plane headed for Turkey. Once he lands in Istanbul, he walks into a restaurant and sends Inquilin a message. A few moments later, he hears a man's phone ringing nearby. Charlie assumes this must be Inquilin and starts walking toward him. But before he gets there, a woman steps in front of him and quietly tells him to check his phone first. As Charlie steps outside, the same woman approaches him again and reveals she's the real Inquilin. She already knows about Sarah's death and everything Charlie's been through. To dodge surveillance, she tells him to stash his cap and bag inside a shopping bag so nothing draws attention. She then has Charlie wander through the crowded market like an ordinary tourist before meeting her later at a nearby garage. At the appointed time, they meet up and she drives him to her house. Along the way, she tells him her story. She explains that after her husband died 6 years earlier, she taught herself advanced hacking skills. Her husband had been a secret CIA source while also keeping ties with Russian intelligence. In fact, he was the original Inquilin, the one who taught her everything she knows. According to the official record, her husband died falling from a window. But the way she tells it, it's clear the real story is far more complicated than that. Once they reach her house, she explains it's the first place she's managed to stay hidden in for more than 3 years. She admits she's grown exhausted after so many years on the run. She even reveals that if Russian agents ever come for her, she's already got one last escape plan of her own ready. The conversation shifts to tracking down Sarah's killers. They find out Ho is the one behind recruiting the mercenaries for these jobs. Lawrence, meanwhile, is a major international arms dealer.
But he's beyond paranoid, so we have to find a way to pull him out of the dark.
Inquilin comes up with a plan right away. She decides to pose as an illegal weapons supplier to get close to Lawrence.
Okay, perhaps I can start a conversation. Suggest I have a contract for him. See if he will engage.
That just leaves Mishka. Mishka's constantly on the move between countries and posts nearly every part of his life on social media. Charlie and Inquilin pore over his photos. That's when they spot the same woman showing up beside him again and again. Using facial recognition, they manage to identify her. Their search leads them to her Instagram account, where they find she's currently in Spain. Back at the CIA, Caleb orders his team to keep every terrorist under round-the-clock surveillance. He's convinced Charlie will eventually try to reach out to one of them. Around the same time, Director O'Brien meets with Moore. She firmly tells him that from now on, he's not to run any secret Black Ops missions without her sign-off. But Moore doesn't even flinch. Calmly, he tells her the last director said exactly the same thing, and gives her the same answer he gave back then. As long as she stays out of his operations, she'll keep having his full support.
Your predecessor sat me down at this very same table, no more than a week into his term, and gave me pretty much this exact same speech. Oh, wait, maybe it was his predecessor. I can't remember. Anyway, I'll tell you what I told them. You have my full support.
After the meeting, O'Brien gets into her car, and right then, her assistant shows her a photo confirming Henderson's presence in Spain. The investigation also confirms Moore personally sent him there. Realizing Moore is openly defying her orders, O'Brien immediately sends one of her most trusted agents to tail Henderson. Meanwhile, Charlie and Inquilin hack into the hotel's security cameras and manage to track down Mishka's location. With that info, Charlie heads to Madrid and checks into the same hotel where Mishka is staying. He soon learns Mishka's big into swimming. The hotel has a striking pool suspended between the rooftops of two tall buildings, and Mishka comes by for a swim there often. Meanwhile, Henderson has also tracked Charlie to the same area, though Charlie has no clue he's already being watched. The next day, Charlie sets his plan into motion. He builds a special device meant to trap Mishka and secretly plants it inside the hotel. After that, he follows Mishka to the hotel bar. What Charlie doesn't realize is that Henderson is already down in the lobby, keeping a close eye on him. Inside the bar, Charlie spots a suspicious man and suddenly realizes he's seen him somewhere before. It hits him that someone's following him. He immediately alerts Inquilin through his earpiece. She scans the man's face and confirms he's a CIA agent. A little while later, Henderson also turns up on the security cameras. Inquilin tells Charlie right away to abort the mission, but Charlie refuses to back off now. When Mishka arrives at the pool, Charlie steps right in front of him. He demands to know where Ho is. Charlie warns that if Mishka won't talk, the whole pool goes down. Mishka just laughs in his face. He figures Charlie's only bluffing to scare him. Without a shred of worry, he starts swimming off. That's exactly when Charlie hits a button. Suddenly, the massive glass structure under the pool starts to crack. With a thunderous blast, the glass shatters completely, and thousands of gallons of water come crashing down onto the street below. At the same time, Inquilin warns Charlie that Henderson and another CIA agent are closing in fast. Watching through the security cameras, she keeps guiding him toward the safest way out. Moments later, an intense chase breaks out through the whole hotel. Henderson is just about to catch up to Charlie when another agent suddenly cuts him off. The agent tackles him, and the two crash into a nearby laundry room. A brutal fight breaks out between them right there. Charlie watches it all unfold from a distance. They keep slamming each other into heavy machines and concrete walls. At one point, Henderson even shoves the other agent's head into a washing machine. Things turn even more dangerous when the agent pulls out his gun and shoots Henderson. Wounded, Henderson still manages to grab the weapon and fire back, killing him. A moment later, Charlie steps into the room. For a second, he wonders if he should help Henderson. But Inquilin quickly reminds him the mission isn't over. With no other choice, Charlie walks away. The next day, back at the CIA, Director O'Brien calls Moore into her office to ask about Charlie. Moore lies without missing a beat, claiming Charlie's on bereavement leave after losing his wife. O'Brien lets him go, but the second he's out the door, she pulls up an important piece of hotel surveillance footage. It's clear she doesn't buy a word Moore said. At the same time, Caleb and his team are going through the same footage. After a close look at the video, they realize Charlie isn't working alone. Someone's clearly helping him behind the scenes. They immediately start tracing Charlie's encrypted messages. After a long investigation, they finally dig up his conversations with Inquilin. Then comes a huge revelation. Digging through old intelligence files, they find records of the original agent once known as Inquilin. Their investigation leads them to one final conclusion. After that agent died, his wife took over both his identity and his entire intelligence network. For the first time, the CIA realizes Charlie isn't just backed by some random hacker. He's working with one of the most skilled, dangerous intelligence operatives they've ever come across. That night, Charlie and Inquilin sleep in the same room side by side. There's no romance between them, but after running for their lives for so long, they just find comfort in having someone they trust close. Their sleep is suddenly cut short by the loud shrieking of Inquilin's pet birds. When they check the security feeds, they're stunned. Multiple agents have already surrounded the house from every side. Without wasting a second, they escape through a hidden tunnel behind one of the walls. Once outside, Charlie spots a surveillance drone overhead, making it clear their location is completely blown. They slip quietly into a neighboring building, dodge the agents on their tail, and get out of the area just moments before the house gets raided. Meanwhile, Inquilin's computer automatically wipes every file, leaving the agents with nothing at all. After a long run along the coastline, they finally reach Inquilin's car, but the drone spots them almost instantly. Within moments, armed agents are chasing them down and opening fire. They even chase them with boats along the shore. Through the long, dangerous pursuit, the agents badly damage their car. Worse still, Inquilin is critically wounded. Charlie has no other option. He carefully lays Inquilin across the passenger seat and takes the wheel himself. He keeps driving. Sometime later, he pulls into a garage. There, he says his final goodbye to Inquilin. The next day, Charlie makes his next move. He contacts Lawrence, poses as an international arms dealer, and successfully sets up a meeting. He then buys a few pieces of electronic equipment before heading to Romania. Inside an abandoned building, he fakes a video of himself and hacks into a security network in Berlin. The CIA falls for it completely, convinced Charlie's in Berlin, and sends their whole team there. When Lawrence shows up at the meeting spot, all he finds is a ringing phone sitting on a chair. Charlie tells him over the phone to open the case waiting there. The moment Lawrence lifts the lid, he finds it packed with explosives. Charlie warns him one wrong move will set it all off.
Drop the lid, move away, or cross the beam, it detonates.
Seeing Sarah's photo tucked inside, Lawrence instantly understands what this is really about. At that moment, Charlie steps out quietly from behind him and demands to know where Ho is. In exchange, he promises to disarm the bomb. Lawrence tells him Ho typically operates in Russian waters and gets his supplies through a port on the Baltic Sea. When Charlie asks how to reach him, Lawrence explains Ho only responds to encrypted messages with a secret code, and the numbers and contact info are saved on his phone. Lawrence drops the phone on the ground. Charlie picks it up and walks off.
Where you going? You jump really fast. You might survive the blast.
Wait!
Soon after, news of Lawrence's death in Romania reaches the CIA. That's when they realize the video that sent them scrambling to Berlin was fake all along. Charlie then arrives at a hotel in Russia. Sitting alone, he gets lost in memories of Sarah and finally opens the gift she'd brought him. Inside is a small puzzle. Charlie quickly solves it and finds a heartfelt message from his wife hidden inside. The moment moves him deeply and gives him the strength to keep going. The next morning, he heads to the harbor and starts watching a suspicious vehicle. He sends out the secret code used by Ho's network. A little while later, he spots a man standing by the vehicle, checking his phone. Charlie quietly follows him and secretly snaps photos of his boat. After picking up a few essential supplies, he heads back to his hotel. Using the boat's registration number, he traces it to a luxury yacht. He also carefully studies the sea routes Ho is likely to take. The next morning, Charlie approaches the boat, but someone suddenly jumps him from behind, and Sarah's puzzle slips from his hand. When he comes to, he finds himself aboard that very same yacht. And finally, he's face to face with Ho. Ho already knows about the bomb Charlie used earlier. As he points out, Charlie has never actually killed anyone directly. He's only ever set up situations that led to their deaths. That's exactly why Ho doesn't think Charlie could ever shoot someone standing right in front of him.
You are not so different to me. Killing these people to find your way here to me. Has it made you feel better?
I won't know till I've killed you.
It was an instant. Your wife?
No, it wasn't.
That you tortured my colleagues, dropped a man 16 stories, suffocated a woman in a locked chamber. You had them all unarmed, defenseless, staged your elaborate murders from a distance. And you know why?
I do.
Because it's hard to take a life up close.
To make his point, Ho puts a gun in Charlie's hand and tells him to pull the trigger. But Charlie does exactly what his gut has always told him to do. He lowers the gun without firing. Suddenly, the yacht starts changing course, and the whole crew scrambles in confusion. Charlie smiles and calmly reveals he's taken full control of the yacht. The vessel runs on CIA security systems, and Charlie himself helped design those very protocols. Hacking it is no trouble for him at all. He quietly redirects the yacht toward Finland instead. Before long, the Finnish Navy and international authorities have the vessel surrounded. Ho and every one of his men are arrested right there on the spot. Sometime later, Director O'Brien holds a press conference announcing that every corrupt CIA operative who abused the agency's resources has been arrested. The era of people like Moore is officially over. Later, Henderson meets up with Charlie and tells him how proud he is of him. Even while chasing justice, Charlie never let himself become a killer. At the end of the film, Charlie visits Sarah's grave one last time to quietly remember her.